Hello, everyone. My name is Paola Andreani. I'm an ESO staff astronomer, originally from Italy. Next to me is Itziar de Gregorio Monsalvo. She's also a staff astronomer from Spain. Our role at ESO is to lead the science departments in Garching and in Chile, acting as heads of the offices for science and faculty chairs. We give you a warm welcome to this event. Today is February 11th, and we celebrate International Day of Women and Girls in Science. The United Nations declared this day for the first time in 2015 in order to achieve full and equal access to science for women and girls, and also to empower them in this field. So at present, nowadays, less than 30% of researchers worldwide who are women. Gender stereotypes and long-standing biases are steering girls and women away from science and all related fields. So European Southern Observatory is an organization very aware of the importance of diversity and inclusion. It's one of our objectives to advance diversity and inclusion at all levels within the organization. So it's here.
Thank you, Paola. Last year, the European Southern Observatory signed an agreement with United Nations Women, under which ESO stresses its commitment on advancing gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. ESO compromised to use the women empowerment principles as guideposts to structure and measure the progress of its diversity and inclusion actions. We are organizing this virtual tour as one of the ESO activities to promote the values of this day. The main purpose of this tour is to give you the chance to meet some of the women working at ESO at the headquarters in Garching and at the observatories in Chile, in different roles in scientific and technical related positions. We hope you enjoy this activity a lot and that it helps you into inspiring and engaging all women and girls in science. The tour guides today are ESO students who will meet different women on their way. Let me introduce, first of all, to Teresa Paneke and Stephen Molyneux. They are PhD students in Garching, and lately you will meet Ana Ennis and Felipe Gran, who are PhD students at ESO Chile. So I will hand over now the tour to Stephen and Teresa to start with this tour at the Garching premises.
Thank you very much. So yeah, hi everyone, my name is Stephen Molyneux. I'm a second year PhD student here at ESO as part of the ESO Studentship Programme. And my current research involves looking at outflows from active galactic nuclei, which are supermassive black holes at the centers of galaxies. I want to understand how these outflows can affect the gas in these galaxies and also the evolution of the galaxy itself.
Hi everyone, super happy to be here. As you can see, we will be reading and later on answering all of your comments, so please leave them in the chat. I am Teresa Paneke, a first-year PhD student at ESO as part of the Max Planck Institute's program, originally from Chile, South America. My thesis focuses on planetary formation. I study the gas component around young stars where planets are forming.
So yeah, we're really happy to take you on a tour of the ESO headquarters today, which is an amazing place for science and engineering. So ESO is a world-leading organization for ground-based astronomy. Our telescopes are in Chile, so we have the very large telescope. We also have Lucia, which is our oldest observatory, and we have Alma. And soon we will also have the extremely large telescope. Our headquarters, though, are here in Munich, Germany, and that's where we'll be starting off today.
And of course, as well as showing you around the headquarters, we also want to highlight the amazing work a lot of women have been doing here at ESO, because today we are celebrating Women's Day in Science. So we have incredible women working here as scientists, engineers, and science communicators. And on our way through the tour, we will be meeting with some of them. So let's begin the tour.
So currently we are actually on the rooftop of the ESO headquarters here, which is a very nice view of Garching in Munich. So yeah, let's get off the roof and actually go inside. So this is the view of the headquarters from the outside, and let's begin and get into the entrance hall. So this is the view you get as you get into the entrance hall. So the reception is just behind us here. If I pan around slowly. So yeah, here is the entrance where we just come in. And when you get into the ESO building, you're met with this amazing architecture building. So it's actually designed to be like a city. So we have these open spaces which are supposed to replicate markets and meeting areas. And then we have these winding corridors and staircases which replicate the streets that run through a city. So yeah, we'll hope you'll still be able to enjoy this the architecture, even though we're doing this virtually.
And the first place we want to show you as the start of the tour is the heart of ESO, and this is the library, which is on the second floor. So we will just walk into the library. Now, the library is usually one of the liveliest places every single day. Students get to meet fellows and staff here often. ESO offers a very rich academic environment. So we will have many talks throughout the week, just to make sure that we are constantly engaged and learning. For example, on Mondays, we have a knowledge exchange series, which is a special series dedicated to the transfer of knowledge between students and ESO staff and engineers. Because as I said before, we do not only work here in academia and analysis of data, but we also have these very strong ties with engineers and the people that are actually building the instruments to be able to observe. On Tuesdays, we have lunch talk followed by free pizzas. On Wednesday, the informal discussion and the student sessions. Finally, on Fridays, we have the journal club.
So yeah, it's amazing that we can have all these things in the library where we get to meet and interact with people very regularly. And you never know who you might find in the library. So in fact, Teresa, I think we see someone who's looking for a book.
Let's see who we have here in the library. Looks like our first interviewee of the day.
Hello.
Hi, so this is Susanna Randall. We're just waiting for your image to pop up, but meanwhile, I will just introduce her. She is a very important member of our community. There she is, you can see her. Because besides her scientific research, she is also part of a program called Astronatin, through which she is actually training to be the first female German astronaut. So hi, Susanna, welcome to our virtual tour. Great to see you here. And could you tell us a bit about what you do and what Astronautin is about?
Hi, yeah, so Astronautin is actually the German word for female astronaut, so Astronautin. And the purpose of this private initiative is to send the first German woman into space. And I think, well, it's Girls and Women's in Science Day, right? So this is another area where the gender balance, especially in Germany, is very, very bad. So only about 10% of astronauts to date have been female. And in Germany, we've had 11 male astronauts and not a single woman. So the aim of the initiative is to change that and also to promote girls and women in science and to encourage girls to go into the STEM subjects.
So just to be super clear, because I know probably a lot of young girls are watching this or will watch this later on, you're actually training to go to space. Do you have a timeline for when you think you will be able to fly up to space?
Yes, so the timeline right now is a bit difficult to predict because of Corona. So as you can imagine, things are a little bit complicated. We were planning to fly up towards the end of this year, but it looks now like it will not be before the end of next year, definitely, because Corona has just, as with everybody, as with ESO, as with everything, completely delayed our plans.
Absolutely. Just the final question, because we know you're in a very tight schedule, also, you know, training and being Women's and Girls in Science Day. What is the effect that you see of this program on young girls? So when you get to talk to them, how do they react towards seeing a real astronaut and a female astronaut?
Yeah, it's quite funny because whenever they see me, and this happens whether I'm an astronomer or an astronaut, they say, "Oh my God, but you're tiny and you're like a little girl and you look a little bit like me." And I really, really love that because a lot of girls imagine, you know, female scientists, I don't know, to be somehow super intimidating and I don't know, just someone that is not a normal woman. And I love being able to show them that we astronomers and also astronauts are just very normal people, very normal women, and that actually it's a fun thing to do.
That is absolutely amazing. Thank you very, very much, Susanna, for your time. It was great talking with you, and we definitely wish you the best of luck in your training. Now we will keep on moving through the ESO building and seeing who else we might find in different places. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
So where are we going to now?
So next we're going to move from the library to the cafeteria. So let's get there now. So yeah, this is the cafeteria, and this is where we would meet in normal times, where we meet for lunch, coffees, things like that, and just to, you know, have a chat about stuff. Every day as well, we also have a morning science coffee. And so this is really great for us students. So we get to talk to the fellows and more senior staff members about research, any problems we're having, or even just about the latest football result. And these are like, yeah, these are really important interactions for us as students. And in fact, I think we've been joined by one of our fellows here in the cafeteria. So if we welcome Gabby, who is one of the fellows here. Hi, Gabby, how are you doing today?
Oh. Gabby, I think we can't hear you because you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I was saying I was really happy to be here. So.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So yeah, Gabby is one of our fellows here at ESO, and she's also one of my supervisors. So I'm really happy she could join us today. So Gabby, could you share with us a bit about your research and also your role as one of the fellows here?
Sure. As an ESO fellow, what I do in most of my time is actually conducting independent research, working with astronomers and students such as you. And in my case, it's in extragalactic astronomy. So what I do is, in particular, I use observations from different telescopes, many also ESO telescopes, in order to try to answer some questions about how galaxies in the universe have formed, how they grow, trying to understand the history of galaxies and black holes across cosmic time. In addition to that, as an ESO fellow, I also have the opportunity to work with the instruments themselves. So I'm also part of the Alma Regional Center. And finally, I also work in science communication and education. And in this, I'm part of the ESO Ambassadors Program, and also as part of an education program in my home country, Peru, which is called Cosmonautas, that aims to bring astronomy close to children from rural regions. In this program, we're also very interested in showing to schoolgirls, and like probably many of who are watching, that science, math, and engineering are very promising careers for girls and women like us.
That's amazing. So yeah, amazing both scientific research and the science communication as well. That's really great. Could you also now tell us a bit about why you chose to pursue a career in astronomy and maybe a little bit about your career path so far?
Sure. So I was born in Peru, as I said before, in South America. And since I was a child, I have always been fascinated about space and how the universe was formed. And I was curious to learn more about all these mysteries we hear about in movies, right? Like black holes or multi-universes. And although choosing a career honestly was not that of a straightforward decision, because I also had other interests in arts and literature, for instance. In high school, I decided to study physics and managed to come to Europe, where I did my bachelor and master studies in physics in Heidelberg, in Germany. And then I went to the Netherlands to the Leiden Observatory to do my PhD. And now I'm back in Germany, in Garching, at the ESO headquarters.
Amazing. So yeah, thank you very much for your time, Gabby. We'll continue with the tour, but yes, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
And just before we go forward with the rest of the tour, and as we say goodbye to Gabby, we just want to remind everyone that you can leave comments, you can leave questions, and we will be reading them and also asking them to our interviewees and throughout the tour. So please feel free to leave your comments in the chat. And this video will also be available later on in case someone just happens to miss it. Thank you, Gabby. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Gabby. Bye. Perfect. So let's continue with our tour of the ESO headquarters. So from the cafeteria now, what we're going to do, we're going to head into these wonderful glass corridors here, which connect the old ESO building with two newer buildings. So just across here, we have the assembly hall where some of the telescopes and parts for the telescopes are actually built. But we're going to head off in this other direction to the new offices. So if we make our way over there now, and as we're crossing the bridge here also, we can see the ESO Supernova in the background there. We'll be heading there just in a bit, but be patient and we'll get to that in a bit. But let's head over to the new offices where we'll find a segment of the ELT. Teresa.
Yes, no, this is a really amazing place. I would wish everyone could be able to see this in person. But the nice thing about being virtually is that we can just reach so many people. We have people all over the globe watching us. Again, I ask everyone who's watching just to leave your comments, leave your questions. We want to answer them. And as Stephen said, this here that you see between all the flags that represent the ESO members, so the different countries that are part of ESO, this is one of the mirror segments that will make up the main mirror of the extremely large telescope, the ELT. So this is the thing with astronomers. We are not very imaginative by naming our telescopes. We have the VLT, which is the Very Large Telescope. This here is a part of the ELT, the Extremely Large Telescope. Why is it called extremely large? Well, because it will have a 39-meter diameter main mirror. And to build this, because we cannot build one single large, extremely large mirror, what we do is that we will be using a lot of smaller mirrors together. So instead of building this really, really large telescope, we will be joining 798 of those little hexagon-shaped mirrors that you see there. Each one of these is 1.5 meters across. So this is a huge effort. It takes a team effort to be able to build these kinds of instruments. And we will be talking about this later on with someone who's actually involved in building instruments such as the ELT. But let's continue on our path.
Yes. So yeah, the ELT is going to be really great. And I personally really like the names of the telescopes as well. So let's move across to one of the main auditorium here at ESO. So this is the Eridanus Auditorium. And so this is where we have joint astronomy colloquium. So the entire campus of Garching joins together to hear some amazing talks for research and the latest science in astronomy. And yeah, as Teresa said, as we've given you enough glimpses of the extremely large telescope so far, let's actually talk to someone who's involved in the ELT project, Susie Ramsey.
Hi, Susie. So just to give context to everyone, as we mentioned before, ELT is ESO's next big project. There is this huge team of scientists and engineers working to make it go as planned. And here we have Susie Ramsey. She is an astronomer and also an ELT instrumentation scientist. So how are you? It's really good to have you here, Susie.
Thanks. Nice to be here. Thank you.
So we're super excited of hearing about the ELT, and of course we want to know what is your role as part of the team that's in charge of developing this instrument. Could you tell us a bit about this?
Certainly, happily. So my current job is I'm the ELT instrumentation manager, and this means that I'm responsible for providing the first instruments to the new extremely large telescope. But as you suggested, it's a team effort. I'm not doing it alone. There are literally hundreds of people around the world working on this effort. So and the thing about the ELT, I mean, the way that astronomers advance is that we build bigger and better telescopes to answer all of our questions that we have about the universe. And we need to build also bigger and better instruments to attach them and to make the observations. It's very important for increasing our knowledge in astronomy. And so for that reason, I've always been interested in working in instruments. I've started my PhD in Scotland working in that area. And in particular, it's very nice to work together in these large teams, to work together with people of different disciplines. And it's very, very exciting, very inspiring to do that. And I think you're going to meet one of those engineers later that I work with.
Yeah, so we have a few questions coming up from Facebook, and there we can see Alyssa Hammer. She is asking, so what is the location of the ELT? Where will this instrument be placed?
Very good question. So it's going to be in Chile. It's going to be near our very large telescopes. No more jokes about the name, please. It's going to be a short drive from the very large telescopes, but on a brand new hillside called Cerro Amazonas. And yeah, and Chile is one of the best astronomy sites in the world, and that's why we place our telescopes there.
And just a last question that Andrew Labat is also asking from Facebook. So what's the estimated first light date for the ELT?
Okay, so at the moment we're estimating first light in 2025, towards the end of 2025. These are very long projects. You need to be patient to work on these things.
Yes, definitely. Well, we are all eagerly looking forward to the ELT. It's been great talking to you, Susie, and I'm sure, I hope a lot of girls will be inspired also to follow a career path in engineering. Thank you very much. See you.
I can only recommend it. Bye.
So just remembering, everyone, you can leave your questions. We want to answer them, as you have seen. So please leave them in the chats in YouTube or on Facebook where we are transmitting, and we will be answering them with our interviewees. Let's keep going, Stephen.
Great. So let's continue. So yeah, it's great to know about the ELT and this amazing project, and not only that we're using the data from these telescopes, but also that we're building new and better technologies to see further and see more details about the universe. So let's take a trip to one of the labs where some of these new technologies are actually tested.
Yes, this is amazing because, as we were mentioning before, ESO is leader in Grantbased observations. We have the telescopes in the north of Chile at Paranal, and Alma. We will be visiting this in the later part of this tour. And while the direct operations of these telescopes are done in Chile, here at the ESO headquarters is where we have the assembling and testing facilities. So here we are at one of the labs, and we are trying to look for someone, an engineer, that may show us around. Let's see if we can find anyone.
Hello.
And hi. Hi, Liz. How are you? Could you tell us a bit about the work that you do here at ESO in the labs?
Sure. So I'm a detector engineer, which basically means that I work on the focal planes of the cameras that go on the telescopes. So you have the telescope that collects the light, but then that has to go somewhere. So we build different instruments like spectrographs or imaging cameras, and then the detectors are what actually turns the photons into electronic signals that then get saved as data files, and then the astronomers can go do their analysis on it.
That's incredible. So we had an earlier question from Mai Tan Shan. I hope I pronounced that right. She is watching us from Vietnam and wanted to know a bit about what was the inspiration for deciding to set foot in astronomy. So, or in this area that's engineering, but with astronomical instrumentation. I don't know if you could talk a bit about what was it that inspired you to follow this career?
Sure. So actually, it's kind of interesting. I've always really enjoyed tinkering since I was a kid. My dad worked at IBM, and when they would decommission old photolithography equipment, he would bring the giant optical lenses home. And so I would do things like, burn my name into a piece of wood using the sun and a big lens. So I've always kind of liked to play with stuff. And then when I went to university, I took a bunch of courses in physics, and I just really enjoyed my lab courses. And one of the professors there said, well, you can actually build instruments for astronomy with those big lenses that you played with as a child. And then I just sort of went down this path. And since I was studying physics, I got more into semiconductor physics. And that's how I ended up in the detector side of astronomy.
That's great. And so something that people obviously want to know, especially in Women's in Science Day, is a bit about what's the current status regarding the number of women that decide to follow career paths such as yours in engineering and in instrumentation specifically. So how do you see this? Do you have many female colleagues? What's your views towards the future as well?
So right now I don't have that many female colleagues. I mean, there's definitely some. But physics and engineering tend to be quite male dominated. However, I've noticed in the last 10 years that more and more of my young new colleagues are women. So there's definitely more women entering the field. And one of the really cool things about working in the 2020s is that, we work in these really large international consortia. So I work with a really awesome systems engineer in her 50s from UKATC. Which is in Edinburgh in Scotland. I work with almost an entirely female software engineering team that's in France. And I work with a team of 3 women who are doing optomechanical assembly in Oxford. So, I don't just have to have women around me. I can also connect with women worldwide working on my projects. So I think that that's really cool.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for your time, Liz, and for talking a bit about what inspires you and how how things are advancing in the fields of engineering. And we are leaving there with the hello of Rita Vidigal, who's watching us from Brazil. So just like Liz connects around the globe with her partners, we are also connecting around the globe in this ESO virtual tour. Thank you very much. Bye, Liz.
Bye.
Amazing. So yeah, after giving you a glimpse of the science and engineering that we do here at ESO, we thought we'd now take you to some science communication. So we've left the ESO headquarters behind, and we're now outside the ESO Supernova, which is our planetarium and visitor center. So let's talk to Tanya Johnston, who is actually the head of this amazing place.
Hello. Hi, Therese.
How are you doing, Tanya?
I'm good, thank you. Shall we go inside?
I think we should, yes. So,
cold today here, so better to be inside.
It's quite cold today, yeah.
So yeah, this is the ESO Supernova Planetarium Visitor Center, and it's quite new. It opened only 3 years ago now, and it's, well, as the name suggests, it has a planetarium where we show lots of different astronomy-related shows, but not only astronomy. We also show things about other areas of science as well. And we also have this huge, amazing exhibition, which is covering all topics in astronomy. So lots of the things that you've heard about already in the tour. So some of the research that Gabby does, the instruments that Liz is building, and also obviously the ELT has a place in our exhibition, and everything's in English and German. And I'm the manager of this centre.
Amazing. And so could you tell us a bit about like how you came to actually work here?
Yeah, so I class myself as a science communicator. That's what I tell people generally what I do. And I've been working in science communication since 2001. Kind of fell into the career, didn't really know much about it, but knew I liked to talk and I liked science, so thought probably science communication would be something for me. And before I came to Germany, I was running the visitor centre in Edinburgh at the Royal Observatory, Edinburgh. All about astronomy for 9 years. And then, yeah, I saw the advert where they were opening a brand new visitor centre, and I thought, yeah, it's time for me to go international and try myself in Germany, see how I get on.
Amazing. Well, yeah, we're really happy to have you here. I think, yeah, it's an amazing place, and yeah, thank you so much. So could you also say what's the most exciting part of your job working here at the Supernova?
Well, it's a fantastic job. It's very varied. I would say one of the most rewarding things is being able to inspire people. So I love telling people about astronomy and the amazing technology behind the discoveries. And yeah, seeing people's eyes light up or realizing that they've got lots of questions that they want to have answered. So knowing their curiosity has been sparked, it's really rewarding. So it's maybe not exciting as such, but it's rewarding. It's a fantastic experience.
Amazing. And yeah, I always enjoy going to the Supernova. It's a really great place. So yeah, amazing. So yeah, thank you for your time, Tanya. We'll let you go now. Nice to speak to you. Thanks, Tanya. Bye.
So unfortunately, with this, we are coming to the end of the tour at the ESO headquarters. We do hope you have enjoyed it, and we will be coming back to you with Stephen to answer your questions at the end. But for now, it is time to cross the ocean and go all the way to Chile, where we will be handing over the tour to Ana and Felipe. So keep asking your questions in the chat. They will be answering them, and then at the end, we will all be back together. Hi, Ana. Hi, Felipe. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so hi, everyone. My name is Ana. I'm a student from Argentina. I'm doing the last year of my PhD with a studentship here. And my work is focused on the evolution of galaxies. And my project at ESO consists of using planetary nebulae to trace the properties of stellar populations, and with that, find out more about the galaxies that they live in.
Hi everyone, I'm Felipe Gran. I'm currently on the last semester of my PhD and completing the second year of the ESO studentship here at Chile. I work studying very old groups of stars called globular clusters, trying to find new ones towards the galactic center. So finishing with the presentations, let's start with the Chilean part of the tour.
Yeah, thanks, Felipe. So we're now standing outside the offices of ESO at Santiago in Vitacura. You can see that just before you walk in, you can see there's a lot of beautiful images from both the observatories and galaxies and all kinds of astronomical objects. So that gets you excited before you even go in. And so the first thing you see when we go into the offices are the gardens. We have very big gardens, and there's a lot of green. And these spaces are open for ESO people who work at ESO to basically do anything you want. You can have lunch. We usually go out to take a break from looking at our screens all day. And you can even do some exercise. I know there's a football court somewhere out here.
Of course. And as you can see now, this is the ESO offices, this ESO building, and the garden separates the ESO building that you are watching right now from the Alma building, which is at your left side of the screen.
Okay, should we go in to Alma then? See who we find there?
It's a really good idea. Let's see which one we will encounter.
Okay, so this is the Alma building. During normal times, when we can, ESO people and people from Alma meet here twice a week, and we have scientific discussions of all kinds. We have Astro PH on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays we have colloquiums. And these are just great opportunities for both of the communities to bond, and a lot of collaborations arise, and it's just really cool. Let me show you a bit around. There's a garden outside. So yeah, this is the main reception. And where should we go next, Felipe?
I think we should show a bit about the auditorium in which the colloquium and Astro PH are held. It's a really big room. And here we will interview our first guest, which is Marilu, an ESO Alma Fellow. Hi, Marilu.
Hello, Felipe. Hello, Ana.
Hi.
Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us about what are you working on, please?
Sure. So, hello, everyone. So I'm a third year ESO fellow, which is at Alma. I work on nearby galaxy cluster using observation from multiple different telescopes.
That's really cool, Marilu. Thanks. Could you tell us a bit about Alma and like what makes it different and special from other observatories?
Yeah, well, it's a huge organization, I would say. It's very impressive. It involves like so many people, from the team of engineers at the high side beside the antennas to us in the control room, and then to the astronomers all around the world that extract science out of these observations. So I think it's just a beautiful example of teamwork.
Yeah, that sounds pretty impressive. So since it is the Day of Women in Science, do you want to tell us a bit about what are some of the challenges that you encountered as a woman in science and how you overcame them?
Sure. So I actually encountered quite many challenges, I would say, to be honest. One of the main one is that I didn't know if I really had my place in science, since there was not a lot of role models around me. So I was kind of struggling to find my place in science. And the way I overcame this is by surrounding myself as much as possible with other women in science, and through learning a lot of reading, I would say, about feminism, about the different barriers and challenges that are faced by women and other minorities in science, and just getting a better understanding of these issues and meeting other astronomers that are receptive to those ideas. I think this is what really helped me to find my place in science.
Well, thanks, Marilu. I think that's very good advice. So thank you so much. I hope to see you soon at lunch.
Yeah.
So now we'll continue with the tour then, as soon as we go back to the gardens.
Yeah, where will we go now, Anna?
I think we've showed Alma. We should go into the ESO building, since that's where we work at. let me find my arrow. Okay, so when you go into the ESO building, this is the main one. This is where all the offices are and all of the people work. We have nice models of the telescopes, and there's a lot of beautiful pictures always on display. We have a cafeteria, which is right here, and there's a nice place to have lunch outside over there. And if we keep turning around, we have 2 auditoriums. This is a small one, and then we have a big one. And we can go in there. This is the auditorium where we have weekly talks and where conferences are held most of the time. As a student at ESO, you can sign up to attend any conferences that take place here. You can give talks, and you can participate in a lot of activities. Do you want to tell us, Felipe, a bit about the activities?
Of course. Other science activities that we attend and, of course, participate regularly are the everyday morning coffee, as well as Ingarging, and, of course, the monthly wine and cheese. And, of course, I will take in the opportunity that we are here in the auditorium. We want to introduce our next scientist that will accompany us for a couple of questions. Anna is an ESO fellow with Paranal duties. Anna, can you hear us?
Yes. Hi.
There you are.
How are you guys?
Hello.
Hi, Anna. Good to see you. Do you want to tell everyone a bit about yourself and your work?
Yes, of course. Well, my name is Ana Escorta, and I'm originally from Spain. I finished my PhD in Belgium about a year ago now, and I've been working for ESO since October. I will do my duties in Paranal, as you said, but I still didn't get the chance to go to the mountain. So in the meantime, I'm focusing on my research, and what I do is investigating how stars that are born in double star systems interact with each other, and what are the outcomes of these interactions. I normally say I study stellar dances.
Oh, it's a very cool and interesting topic. We know you have a lot of expertise with these different observatories and instruments, but can you tell us which ESO instrument are you the most interested in, or your favorite one?
Sure. So for my research, I try to measure the amount of different chemical elements that we find on the surface of a star. So to be able to measure this, I need really high quality spectra. So at ESO, my favorite instruments are the high resolution spectrographs, UVES and Espresso, and those are the ones that I have chosen to specialize on for my fellowship.
Oh, it's a very good choice. Now, of course, regarding the framework that we are going this tour on the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, do you have a role model that influences your decisions to work in science?
Actually, no, I don't think so. I had several school and high school teachers who inspired me to do science, but I don't really remember having a specific role model when I was young, like neither female nor male. I think I just always liked sciences and was curious about how things work around me. And yeah, I just took this path, and I don't imagine to have taken a different one. The first time I recall looking up to someone saying, "Oh, this is a role model I would like to be like," I was already doing my master's in astronomy, so I think I pretty much chose the path on my own, I would say. But don't get me wrong, I think it's very important that girls have female role models, and that's why we are here today. It's good to give visibility to all the awesome female scientists that are out there. But yeah, I don't think I had one, and I made it to ESO. So I think it's just important to tell young students, both boys and girls, to follow their passions and to be stubborn and to not let anyone tell them what they can do and what they cannot do. Because that's the only way to removing stereotypes, right? Like fighting against them. I think my generation of scientists had it easier than other women had it 30 years ago, and hopefully all the young female scientists that are listening to us today will have it easier thanks to these kind of events. So thank you guys for organizing this.
Thank you, Anna, for this very inspiring work that you shared today. And of course, see you around in the next coffee.
Yes, see you later. Bye.
Bye, Anna.
Now let's continue to the tour.
Okay.
Where are we going now?
I think the last stop of our tour in Vitacura should be the library. We can go straight down this hallway. And, well, the library is a pretty impressive place. It's very nice, and there's a lot of books. As a student, you can go and just take out any books. There's a lot of academia related, and there's a lot of other interesting stuff too. But besides this, the library is important because, as in Garching, it's a meeting place for everyone who works there. You can run into people at all times, maybe not so much these days, but usually. And you can, there's a lot of scientific exchange going on a normal day. So I think from here, we're done with the offices, but we can go to a more exciting part of Chile. Felipe, do you want to take us on a trip?
Of course. We will take a very long trip from Santiago to a very special place to the ESO community, which is the Paranal Observatory near Antofagasta in the north of Chile. And the next guest that we will have the honor to talk with will introduce the overall view that we will you will remember from the very large telescope. So, Patricia. Hello, Patricia.
Hi. Hello, Felipe and Ana.
Hi, Patricia.
Okay. Patricia is an instrumentation engineer from the Maintenance Support and Engineering Department. Can you tell us, please, about the amazing view that we are watching right now?
Yes, this is the place where I work in the north of Chile, Paranal Observatory in the second region, Antofagasta. In this place, there are the very large telescope. The big one are the BLT. And we also have this small telescope that looks like a Pac-Man game. So these auxiliary telescopes are used for interferometry science. And in this mountain, in Paranal, we also have another two telescopes that they are called the survey telescope. So we have the survey, BLT, and auxiliary telescope for do science. Between these telescopes, we have right now 16 instruments installed in different telescopes. And together with the instrumentation group, we take care of maintaining and preparing the instrument for the observations in the night, and also the calibration during the day.
Wow, that's very interesting. Do you want to tell us a bit about what a normal work day is like for you at Paranal?
Yeah, a normal day in Paranal begins with a coordination meeting between the science department and engineering department, and they have to decide the priority for the next night or for the next week. And according with this information, we must prepare the instrument modes requested for visitor run or service observations. And together with that, we have also to follow a maintenance plan for each instrument to make sure that during the day the instrument can be used for calibrations, and also in the night they can be used for the science. So sometimes we have to prepare a special requirement for the astronomers, like a mask manufacturing, or they want to observe in different wavelengths, so we need to change the detector. So we have to do it. So we have a lot of activities between all the engineers in Paranal, and with our colleagues, we are in charge of all instruments.
Wow, that's very impressive. Do you have any piece of advice for any young women or girls who are watching that might be thinking about starting a career in engineering or something like that?
Well, my advice will be that if they can participate in different conferences, seminars, workshops, it can help a lot to have an overview of all areas and what is going on in the moment in the science. And also, if it's possible, it would be great if they can participate in a different project, so they can gain a lot of experience.
Thanks. That
You're
sounds like
welcome.
very useful advice. Well, thanks, Patricia. Good luck.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we can continue our tour of Paranal then.
Great.
As soon as, okay. So I'm just gonna do a bit of an overview because the view is very impressive. I haven't been yet to Paranal, but I know everyone says it's very impressive. It's in kind of the middle of nowhere. And from here, we can go to the control room, which is, I guess, the most important part probably of an observatory. If we go down the mountain a little bit, we can see the control building room. And then from there, we can go into one of the control rooms, really. And here we can meet Eleonora, who is going to tell us a bit about her research interests and what life is like for scientists on the mountain. Hi, Eleonora. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Felipe. And hello, everyone who's following us. So my name is indeed Eleonora Sani. I'm a staff astronomer at ESO since 6 years. And my scientific interests concern supermassive black holes, those that are hosted at the center of galaxies, which goes through an active phase. So they do generate what are called quasars, for example. And I'm particularly interested in how they do co-evolve with their galaxies. So that's what I do in my research. Plus, I do work in Paranal, actually for 70% of my time, and mainly in the control room that you just showed us, where we do, as astronomers, we do three main things. We take decisions, we execute observations, and we evaluate the output of such observations. So taking decisions means that we receive requests from observers in Europe and around the world, and we decide what, given the conditions that we do have currently at night, like if there is wind, if there are clouds or not, the level of humidity, the quality of the atmosphere, and so on and so forth, which observation fits better with these conditions. We execute it, so we operate the instrument together with a telescope operator that is in charge and follows the telescope. And then once the observations, the images are retrieved by the instruments, we do a very quick analysis of such data to check whether they do fit the request of the astronomer. So all these screens that you do see are used to monitor the conditions, to operate the telescope, to operate the instrument, and we do need a series of softwares to both take our decisions, that support us in taking our decisions, and to evaluate the quality of the data.
Wow, that sounds like a very active and exciting room that to be in an observing run, of course. And of course, I would like to ask, of course, in the framework of this day, what do you think it takes to become scientists within this environment?
Do you mean becoming an astronomer that observes in an observatory?
Yeah.
So to develop such career beyond your studies at the university, then you really need to work in institutes that manage such facilities, so that you start to practice. My advice to young students that want to foresee this career would be during their studies as well, let's say at the end, towards the last years and towards the PhD, to ask to their supervisors to please send them to grab data. So in that way, you can really get conscious of what it is and how life is, and if you would actually like to develop such career that is beyond science and technical activities.
It's a very good equilibrium there.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, great advice.
Thank you very much, Eleonora, for your time and your words, and see you around. See you in the next coffee.
See you soon.
Bye,
Ciao,
Elena.
thank you. Bye-bye.
To anyone that's watching, remember you can ask questions and leave comments, and we can answer them, or we'll answer them all at the very end. So Felipe, I think we have one more stop of our tour.
Before finishing the Chilean part of the tour, we will take a quick trip into the Alma Observatory, in which lives Elizabeth, who is an astronomer and the head of the Alma Department of Science Operations, will present the view on the conditions and characteristics of her work. You can see Liz now in your screen. Hello, Liz.
Hi,
Can
Felipe.
Hello.
Hi, Anna. So I'll go ahead now and try and share my screen.
Yes, please.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
Okay, so as Felipe said, I'll just go ahead now and give you a very quick virtual tour of the Alma telescope and also tell you a little bit about my work at Alma. So here is Alma. It's deep in the heart of the Atacama Desert in the north of Chile. Alma is made up of these 66 antennas that you can see here that we can move around when we need to. And a really important thing about Alma is that this telescope is at high altitude. So it's at about 5,000 meters above sea level. So the engineers that work on these antennas need to be wearing oxygen when they're working on them. So it's really extreme. And here's just another two views of the telescope. So actually it's so extreme where the antennas are themselves, astronomers don't work at this high altitude site. We work down the road, so this is the road to the antennas, down the road at this Alma base camp. So the Alma base camp is at medium altitude at 3,000 meters, and you can work here with no problems, with no oxygen. So science operations, and I head up that department for Alma, takes place from this building. This is where astronomers control the telescope, take data, and pass it to another team in SciOps to process it, check it, and send it out to people worldwide so they can make discoveries with it. So here's a close-up of this building where everyone in science operations works. How many people does this take? It takes about 50 people. So the bulk of my job is running the department, coordinating it, and seeing how we can do things better in the future. But of course, I also do scientific research, which I think I'll have a question on in a minute. So here's the building we work from at the base camp. And you can see a view from that building shows you how truly isolated Alma is. It takes most people from Santiago a plane ride and a bus ride to get there 4 or 5 hours. So once you're up there, you normally stay for about 8 days. And you, when you're not working, you sleep and you eat and go to the gym in this Residencia hotel complex, which is also at base camp. And so with that, the tour is over.
Thanks, Liz. That was great. Do you want to tell us a bit about what kind of research you're doing? Would like to hear about that.
Yeah, so one of my main areas of research is in evolved stars. So these are stars that were once like the sun billions of years ago, but now they're much older, and we essentially want to study them to find out what will happen to our sun. And I also study water near black holes. So those are my two main areas.
Wow, those are very big topics. That sounds great. Do you have anything you would like to say to girls or young women that would like to make a career in science? Any piece of advice?
It's probably been said already, but just go for it. Decide what you want to do, get started, see where it can take you. A career in science is really interesting. It's really rewarding and fun. So it's worth the effort.
Thanks. That's very motivational. Thank you, Liz, so much for everything. That was super interesting. And I think this concludes our tour of the Santiago facilities and the observatory. We thank all of our guests for their time. And I think we go back to Itziar and Paola then.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for your guides in Garching and in Chile. It was fantastic to see all our colleagues working and presenting themselves and presenting their work. So let's move now to the Q&A session. So to take questions from the attendees.
Yes, I would just like to briefly say that we really have people from all over the world. So we're getting just greetings from Italy, Buenos Aires, Romania, Florida, USA. So I think it's really nice just to see how many people are interested in the universe. And we do have, of course, a lot of questions on the topics that were being talked about before. So some people asking about supermassive black holes or galaxies. I think maybe it would be nice just to talk a bit about all the different areas of research that are going on at ESO. There we have someone from Colombia as well, so, and India. So maybe we could just talk a bit about the different kinds of a broad overview of all the investigation areas that we conduct here at ESO.
Well, that's a very tough questions. There, if we can start, I mean, making a tour from the nearby solar systems where we study the formation of solar systems in general, so planetary systems. We are looking for exoplanets. So this is, of course, not a research that is done only at ESO. It's done in conjunction with many other observatories worldwide and space satellites as well. So it's a huge effort. Then, of course, if we go a bit further in distance, we meet the star formation regions in our galaxies, and where new stars form, where new planetary systems form, and there is a huge activity. And nowadays we are going into the very details and in the core of this kind of systems. So we are looking at the inner formation of these objects. And then if we go further away from, we're looking at nearby galaxies where we see a lot of activities there as well. And in particularly where most of the astronomers, and I see also in the chats, there is a lot of interest in looking at the black holes, which are very complicated objects, which are thought to be at the center of all galaxies, and they are very mysterious. So that's why there is a huge investigation there. And if we go further away, we study the movements of galaxies overall, and how the universe expands, how we try to trace back how the universe has been started, how it's been formed, and is amazing. And it's really, really exciting to be here and to have all this. To be with all the colleagues and sharing their enthusiasm and their results as well. So, do we have any specific questions from the audience?
I see a couple of questions asking the guides and Anitzia and Paola too, I think, how we got into science, and if you have anything to say on the women in science topic, any role models, any advice. I can say I got into science because I had a very, very cool math teacher in high school who was a woman, and she was very motivational. And every time I said I wanted to do something that wasn't science, she got very mad because she thought that was my passion and I had to follow it. So I think that's my story. It's not very deep, but it's always good to encourage people.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I just got into science because I was always very curious and I really loved math and physics. So I was actually a very big Harry Potter fan. I don't know if there are any Harry Potter fans out there, but I loved magic and like magic books. And for me, physics was like almost magical. Like the fact that you could actually sort of predict the behaviors of nature was amazing. And then I was just curious, like, what can you understand with physics? And I was like, well, why not the universe? You know, like, let's get into astronomy. And I've just been really lucky across my university, my master's studies at Universidad de Chile, and now at ESO during my PhD, to have amazing supervisors and women supervisors especially. So I worked with Laura Perez at Universidad de Chile, and at ESO I'm working with Ana Miotelo. And I think it's really important to have strong women role models, which I think is also why it's so important what we did today in the tour, just showing all these amazing women that are probably inspiring a lot of little girls because they can see themselves in these really amazing scientists. So I'm really grateful for that.
It's here.
Yes, well, I have a similar story. The astronomy was always my passion. And I have to say, I didn't have any specific female role. I found different female and male roles in my life, teachers and mentors also in my scientific careers that helped me to reach here, right? And something very important, I think it was already commented in the tour, right? One needs to be stubborn. You never, or I think women should never allow anyone to say, no, you cannot do this, right? Why? Just go ahead and go for it. And I think this is most of our experiences as women, right? Working in astronomy.
Yeah. I don't know if Stephen or Felipe want to say something.
I mean, so yeah, I've I think been interested in like space and astronomy from a young age. I think my parents got me some space books when I was little, and I always enjoyed even just looking at the pictures of the planets and things like that. It was always really cool. And then yeah, I chose to do physics through school and university. And yeah, I'm really lucky to be here at ESO. I think it's a really great place to do astronomy.
There is a very interesting questions now popping up. So how this amateur astronomer father of a 60-year-old girl can stimulate the interest of his daughter in science? Yeah, that's a very good question. I think first to motivate her to believe in herself, okay? That not because she's a girl, she cannot do it. This is the first thing. And then, of course, all the exciting videos and everywhere that you can find all around is also a motivating part. But I found it it's important that you find people and important, of course, the importance of parents who help you to believe in yourself. This is, I think, the critical. That's, I think, the magic word for me.
Yeah, and I want to add, it is also important to allow children access to all the information. And now we have plenty of videos, as Paola said, right, in internet, in YouTube. So it's super important if they want to visit these videos and learn more about science, that the parents allow the children to access to this information.
Yes, definitely. I just want to say yes to everything that Paola and Itziar said. So for me, it was really important. My parents always gave me the space to ask questions. Never say no or never say a question is dumb. Usually little kids, small children, girls and boys have the most amazing questions that adults will sometimes say, oh, but that's ridiculous. When in fact, it's not ridiculous. We just don't know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, that's perfectly fine. Just tell your child, your girl, your boy, okay, let's look for the answer together. And I think that's the basis for building a great scientific career, just looking for answers of questions, because that's what we do all the time. We don't know the answers. We just try to make sense out of what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's a very good answer, Tere.
So there are another question: what are ways ESO has of sharing information with the general public? Well, I am not the expert in outreach, so ESO has a website and also is sharing all the the social media nowadays. So has a page in Facebook, has in Twitters, and more info at ESO.org.
Yes, you can definitely follow ESO's social media. And if you're watching this, of course, you're watching it through the YouTube channel or the Facebook page. So you can follow there all the announcements, the press releases, their general other activities with different scientists talking about their work or doing interviews, so you can just be updated on that. And maybe Stephen can also say something about all the outreach that goes on in normal life at the Supernova Center.
Yeah, so yeah, you can check out, so just to expand a bit on that, so we have the ESO.org is the main ESO website, and there's also an ESO Supernova website as well, which you can check out, which has information on all the amazing events that they're doing, so workshops, planetarium shows. Obviously at the moment it's sadly closed because of Corona, but hopefully when it's open again, all those events will be back on. And yeah, there's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, ESO's on all of them, so go check them out. And yeah, so from the Supernova, there you go, supernova.eso.org, that's the website. And yeah, so from the Science Communication Department, we have regular press releases on all the latest science done with ESO telescopes. And a lot of those are also made into small YouTube videos to sort of quickly explain the science. And yes, also from the Supernova, they have regular planetarium shows and the amazing exhibition and workshops for school children as well, which is really amazing.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have a couple of more questions, and with this we should start finishing, okay? So one of the questions is, will you ever do a live tour at night so we can see the astronomers in action? Yes, I think this is a nice proposal. We can go ahead for that, right, at some point.
I think it's also fun to say that astronomers are not night creatures. So, I mean, it obviously depends on what you're researching on. But for example, me, I work with Alma data. Alma's a radio telescope which observes day and night. And that's also something really interesting to get to know. So I just work from my computer. I don't have to go observing. If you have to go observing, for example, to La Silla or Paranal, then you will be working with optical instruments, and then you will have to work at night, but just for the observations. So I would say all of us work by day, unless someone here works by night and I'm saying it wrong. So just so you know, at night, it's mostly just the people that are observing with optical instruments that have to be up. But we work by day on our computers from our desks.
Okay, and the last question by Paula Erazo. As a school student, can I visit ESO Building in Santiago? For sure, when all this COVID-19 situation finishes, there will be some events where you will be able to visit the building in Santiago. From time to time, we do these open events here in Santiago, Chile, okay? So, well, with this, I think we can conclude this tour. Thank you very much for attending this event. We hope you have enjoyed a lot this activity and that has inspired to you to work in science and hopefully as astronomical observatories as ESO. I would like to thank again our students, our fellows, and the staff who gave the tour, and the people from the outreach department, of course, for helping in the organization of this event, especially Francisco Rodriguez, who has been in the back dealing with all the techniques. Okay. So thank you very much. Have a nice day and see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thanks for coming.